Hello everyone, it's me Jenny and time for another part of my mini-series part 2 type thing. And I realised that it's been 3 weeks, so I finished my last campaign, talking about D&D and me, my game. I finished my last campaign and I want to talk about my last session. So last time I talked about my game, I was saying that my character was really developing, how she'd come to the conclusion that despite her past and despite having hated the people who put her in a situation where they sold her out. The heist went wrong, they sold her out and she was left to become a slave, and she escaped fortunately, and she grew up hating these people, and in the last episode, the last session, she came to terms with that. She came to the conclusion that she'd moved on and matured and evolved to become even greater than they are, and she was above them and beyond them. And in the last session, we got to the final crypt after being levelled up by the gods, who literally came down from the plane of the deities to level us up, so the DM could justify a final level up before the session. And this deity came down and gave us all these powers, and in the last cave, my character met the 3 people who she'd hated most, Catty and Brink, who are her old kind of gang running mates who used to low-form heists, and Lord Tebreck, the lord that they sold her into slavery to kind of appease for having failed in their heist. And she met these 3 guys and they got into a fight, and my character shot Lord Tebreck in the eye, and it was so cathartic because I got the killing blow, and it was one of those moments where there's a lot of stuff that wasn't really put into words during the actual gameplay, but in my backstory I had a lot of stuff about him being highly abusive, and the type of slavery he was going to sell her into was not going to be particularly, slavery isn't pleasant, but it was going to be a slightly more mature type of setting. And it was never really said out in the campaign itself, but that was the backstory I was running with, and the fact that he was a really nasty piece of work that had her deliberately beaten in front of his guards and her old crew just to be a vindictive dick. And so the fact that I got to shoot him in the eye was really cathartic as a character. And then she let Catty and Brink go. I let Catty and Brink go because she'd matured past the point of having to need to do them harm, and realised that they were so low and so far beyond her and so pathetic, and wastes of space and wastes of her youth, that she didn't need to deal with them. They were past and beyond her, and from a character standpoint that was fantastic. And then we went on to take on, it was a demi-lynch, it was a Lynch Skull, which was... It was one of those things that after such a perfect RP moment, the combat was a little bit kind of twiggy in that we weren't doing that much damage to the Lynch because it had all the damage resistances, and it wasn't doing too much damage to us because we all had good healing spells and enough potions hoisted up, so it was just kind of a long slog of a battle where he'd, sap our health points, so he'd go up in health points, and then we'd have a round to take down his health points, and then he'd do his scream again and we'd all go down health points, and then we'd do a round to heal, and it was just one of those ones where it just continued and continued and continued. But in the end we defeated him and all was well in the world. And that was the end of my campaign that I was part of, and yeah, so it was fantastic from an RP standpoint, absolutely. So cathartic, a brilliant end for Tisa, who has so far been... I have a soft spot, I will always have a soft spot in my heart for Nyla and for Maylee, but Tisa definitely had the most character development, and I really loved the way I ended that character, and the fact that the DM allowed me the opportunity to really have a true catharsis with her past, and brought in the NPCs that I created in my backstory. So, woo! Yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys all in the next part of this mini-series. Bye!